Hi guys, welcome to another edition of Drift. In today's video, I'll be doing a review of Gcms notes. What are Gcms notes? It's a note that contains information about refusal issues, real issues. You know, most of the refusal issues that is written in the refusal letter are generic. They'll say your assets and your finances are not sufficient, or they will say you have not shown sufficient reasons that your stay is going to be temporary. You know, all those generic reasons. You've not shown sufficient family ties. Those are the regular words, but you need to dig deep to go behind the scene to see why you are being refused. So by learning from other people's mistakes, you can avert a lot when you are about to apply. When you're about to apply. In today's episode, I'll be dealing with sponsorship issues. Now, there are three areas about sponsorship issues I want you to consider. Number one is women using their husbands as sponsors. It's very, very common. Very common. Most women, when applying, they don't have money in their account. So I'll be reading from a GCMS note that I have here so that you see it and then see what the visa officer wrote, and then we'll now analyze it and see the solutions. So and then the second issue is for sponsorship is a young person using an uncle or an auntie. Most times they use uncles or aunties that are not related to them. Either you are using an uncle that is related to you, or an uncle or aunt that is not related to you. That is related or not related. They usually develop issues. The first thing I want to tell you is that before you consider using sponsorship, please ensure that you are below the age of 20 years. Ensure you are below the age of 20 years. Once you are above that, don't consider sponsorship. If you are going to use your husband as a sponsor, there's a chance you are going to make it. But then you need to know that using a sponsor means that you are absolving yourself of every financial responsibility. And I'm going to tell you, sit back and watch to see the implications of using somebody as a sponsor. Is very, very delicate. You know, they know that most people don't have money, and then they consider using sponsors. Now, gone are the days where you just go and carry somebody as a sponsor, just use the person, anybody you like. Recently, one of my clients just used anybody he wanted as a sponsor. When I asked him, what relationship do you have with the sponsor? He says, just somebody. You know, this my client works in the bank. And then he saw somebody that has a huge account. Previously, it happens. You can just claim, you can use somebody that bears the same surname with you, and then you bring it, and then you use the person as a sponsor. But now, the criteria have gotten stricter, and it has become more stringent. So what they do is that you can't just show somebody that bears the same name with you. Perhaps your name is Mohammed Abdul Hamid, or your name is Stephanie John, or your name is maybe Victoria John. You now go and look for somebody who is Mr. John and say it's your father or your uncle. Then what you need to show is that you need to be able to show a birth certificate that shows that that person has the same mother or father with one of your parents. Alright, maybe to show that, and you must be able to show that the person has been sponsoring you aforetime. That's before now. You must be able to show that the person has been a sponsor to you before this time. Alright, so and it must be long enough, not that 2 months or 3 months before that time you are now showing transfers from the person. There must be a long history, possibly pictures with the person, transfers from the person, how the person has paid your school fees. But I'm just saying this in general. So we will read a GCMS note first from a woman who used her husband as a sponsor, and another from a young guy who used his uncle as a sponsor. Let's see what the visa officers have to say, and then we analyze it. So please click the notification button, like, subscribe, ask your question, and you can also book a session with me. Dryphtagency, send a mail to dryphtagency@gmail.com. Please, I'd like you to desist from just sending mails and saying, please, I want you to help me. I have a lot of things to do. Now we do this to make ends meet. You need to know that. So the visa application process involves millions or thousands of dollars depending on your currency. But like in Nigeria or Ghana, it involves thousands of cities in Nigeria, millions of naira. So the brain behind applications are usually the humans that help you. So you can't just be willing to pay your flight ticket, your school fees, you are willing to do every other thing, but you don't want to pay. At least before you call somebody, you ask the person, what's your consultancy fee? And then you get to talking. If you want to continue with the person, then you go ahead. I know there are frauds everywhere online, but you need to know that if somebody has his face on YouTube for a long time, you know the person is not a fraud, because the person has a reputation to protect. All right, your face is not out there, but the person has a reputation to protect. So if you want to reach out to me, make sure you know what you're doing, because a lot of people reach out to us and they say, please, can you help me ask questions? That's not how it's done. So please hit the notification button, like, subscribe, and share. Thank you. So let's go into the GCMS notes. Let us start first with the guy that used this uncle. And I'll tell you some things. The uncle is not in the same country. Avoid this thing, please. When applying, right? You can't be in, let's say, Kenya, and you're using an uncle that is in UK, an uncle that is in America, an uncle that is in Germany. First of all, the currencies are not the same. Second, they will look at barriers to transfer to you accessing those funds. Everybody knows that there are barriers to international transfer. They might not say this, but I feel that is what they'll be looking at. You can't just go and present your uncle's bank statement and it's not even in the local currency, it's in a foreign currency. That's one of the recipes for failure. Some of you feel that because your uncle is a rich person, is in America, and you are in the third world in Africa, and then when you just present his huge account, that's not how these things are done. That's not how these things are done. That he has it does not mean it can be available for you. Then one thing you should also note is that if your entire liability is $40,000, if your entire liability is $40,000, maybe that's what you need for your school fees, your living expenses, your transport, and the rest, you must know that a sponsor must have more than that. Not just, you can't be sponsoring somebody with $40,000. You can't be sponsoring somebody who needs $40,000 or 40 million, whatever currency you have, shillings, pounds. Well, let's say, yes, it's dollars. Somebody that needs 40,000 Canadian dollars, you want to sponsor the person, and you in your account, what you have is just 50,000. No, it's wrong. It's not going to fly. It's not going to fly. I tell you the truth. They take this information for free. Like and subscribe. So what will now guarantee that it flies? Number one, your sponsor, you have first of all ensure that you have established a relationship with the sponsor. Most preferably your parents. Second, uncle, either your paternal or your maternal uncle, and you must be able to show evidence with birth certificate. Then thirdly, when you have established the relationship, secondly, you must show history of sponsorship. History of sponsorship. When you do that, then thirdly, you must ensure that your sponsor has up to double the amount they want to sponsor you with, so that in case of eventualities, for example, maybe your first year liability, living expenses, and school fees is 40,000. The person must have that of the second year combined, and have more than that, possibly 3 times of what is expected. Then the bar has even been lifted. If somebody is going to sponsor you, that person should be able to give you some amount. Should be able to not just show it in his or her account. The person must be able to give it to you. So the person must be able to give you. Then fifthly, the fifth thing you need to know is that your sponsor, apart from just giving you some of the amounts, like the person should be able to gift you and then provide his bank balance as a base, as a support. Another thing you need to know is that your sponsor should not use his or her company account. Your sponsor should use his personal account. because a company is a third party. Most of the things we see in sponsorship are third parties, third parties, third parties. A third party is somebody that is not you. Your husband can be a third party. If you are going to use a husband, make sure. One of my clients used her husband as a sponsor, the one I want to read. And the husband, she did not show that they are married. No marriage certificate. It's not ideal. It's going to get you a refusal, right? So you must show that both parties, you must show that you people are married. Is that okay? So you must show that they are married, and then so that they will not refer to that person as a third party. You don't use a company for sponsorship. You use it for sponsorship because you have money. Some people say, my uncle has a lot of money in the company. You don't use a company because a company is an entity on its own and is a third party. Is that okay? It's a third party. So you have to use the person's personal account. You can only show the company account to show that this is where this person is earning from. And if you are using a sponsor, the person must show his salary. His salary is the main source of earning, and his tax and the tax payment. The person is a business person. You have to show the cash flow and show the person's tax payment and show how the person transferred money from his account to your account. These things involve financial engineering. They are complicated. That's why we are here for you. If you need professional advice, you want us to mentor you on it, you can send us a mail to dryphtagency@gmail.com. So let me read one of the GCMS things. I'll just go to the session, right? Okay, maybe I'll provide a screenshot so that you look at it while I'm editing the video. I'll provide a screenshot. So I've reviewed the application. The purpose of the applicant's visit to Canada is not consistent with the temporary stay, given the details provided in the application. The applicant has not shown the rationale to leave their current stable employment in order to pursue this credential at a high financial cost. I'll deal with this issue later on. The applicant has also shown that this credential will provide, the applicant has also not shown that this credential will provide them an employment benefit in Ghana. We'll deal with this. The applicant's assets and financial situation are insufficient to support the stated purpose of travel for the applicant and any other accompanying family members, if applicable. The applicant's submitted personal banking statements do not show the sufficient level of funds that are needed in order for the applicant to pursue studies in Canada. Let's pause. I have said it over and over again. If you are submitting, whether you are submitting the bank account of a sponsor, there must be money in your account. Don't make that mistake. You are the principal applicant. You are the most important person. There has to be some form of finance in your account, right? There has to be some form of finance. There has to be some form of finance in your account. Make sure, right? There is some form of finance in your account. Okay. The next thing to do is, so let's continue. The sponsors submitted personal banking statements do not show the sufficient level of funds that are needed in order for the applicant to pursue studies in Canada. The sponsor's account was not sufficient. When I mean sufficiency, like I said, the sponsor has to have like ×3 of the account of what is needed, up to ×3 of what is needed. The sponsor needs to have up to 3 times the volume of what is needed. Is that okay? So that's why he was refused. Don't just show an account, you must show up to 3 times of what is needed. All right. Now let's continue. I'm trying to get some information from you. So he said, I'm not satisfied that the applicant will have access to sufficient funds for the proposed studies. Weighing the factors in this application, I'm not satisfied that the applicant will depart Canada at the end of the period authorized for their stay. For these reasons, I've refused the above application. Look at what he said. He said, weighing the factors of this application, he said, I'm not satisfied the applicant will have access. When you're using a sponsor, just know that you risk this kind of statement that you might not have access. So the reason why they feel you are not going to have access is because the currency is domiciled in a foreign currency. This person, the uncle, is in United Kingdom, showing pounds, sterling, and he has Ghanaian cedis. They might accept that before, but not now. It is not that you're not showing your personal account. If your personal account is a different ballgame. If your uncle or your aunt or anybody wants to really sponsor you, let them convert the money, transfer it to your account, and then provide the source of their funds. Is that okay? Then let me read the other the other person, the other client. I think this one is a little bit. Permit me to just bend a little. I'm reading from my system. Just permit me to bend a little. Okay. You said, because it's kind of far, right? I don't. As long as you can hear me, that's what matters. Said, okay. Applicant. Okay. Let's look at. Say third-party financial sponsor. That's the spouse. There are other reasons. He said banking transactions history provided. The source of funds is poorly documented. So the source, your source of funds is not just your bank statement. He said the visa officer said she provided a third-party sponsor. Third party means her husband, and it's poorly documented. Source of funds poorly documented, and there is no evidence provided showing how the sponsor came to accumulate large savings. In the absence of satisfactory documentation showing the source of these funds, I am not satisfied that the applicant has sufficient funds for the intended international study. Then look at what he said. Large lump sums deposits in bank documents. These deposits are incommensurate with their stated income. Provenance of funds is unclear. Weighing the factors, so large lump sums and the person's salary or the sponsor's salary or the sponsor's source of funds does not show, is not commensurate to the large sums of deposit. If somebody is going to sponsor, you must show that his earnings are large, and you must show all the source of his earnings, show the tax clearance, show the earnings, and then avoid lump sums as much as possible. If there's going to be lump sum, it should be well documented. And so these are reasons. These are part of the reasons why people get rejected, either as using husbands as sponsors, uncles as sponsors. If you want us to help you, the best thing to do is, before you start your process, contact a professional. Let us help you do this thing. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification button. If you have gotten value, please subscribe to the channel. Let's get to thousands of views. Funny enough, we are delivering massive, valuable content, and then most of the people, they underrate this channel because they don't see 10,000 subscribers. Please, let's share the word. Until I come your way next time, and just stay blessed. Thank you.